Welcome, everyone. Kevin Carpenter back for another year of CppCon 2023 and sitting with Jason Turner, which is really kind of funny for me because considering CppCast and C++ Weekly, I'm like the neophyte. Is that the right word? I mean, you've got all the experience of doing these things. So
Between CppCast and C++ Weekly, I have recorded almost 800 episodes of things. Yeah, and plus if you include other interviews that I've been on, yeah, I think it's probably about 800 in total now.
that's incredible. And the thing that's funny to me is I was just thinking about it because you were one of the first interviews I did. I think it was either 18 or 19, but I just remember doing the interview because towards the end, you're like, well, let me flip this back around and ask you a question, which threw me totally off guard.
I don't remember that at all.
Like, yeah. But we're here to talk about your C++ best practices class you're doing this year at the conference, right?
Yep, post-conference class. As you said, C++ best practices. I've given this class to hundreds of students in every field you can name, pretty much. This is a class that I'm often hired to teach on site for corporations.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a highly adaptable class. Like, I have enough material for at least 3-4 days, right? And it depends so much on what questions the students ask. So just like any class that I teach, I don't really know exactly what we're going to talk about, because depending on what the students ask, we will just, form the class material to the students who are there.
That's pretty cool. So, I mean, when I think about it, because you have your C++ best practices book, and I'm sure that you share some things in there, but so I'm going to use this example. When I think of a class that I took with Klaus, and then I think of the book that he wrote, the amount of difference is just vast. So I'm imagining yours is the same. It's like the book has some things in it, but what you can do in the class, just because you said it's a bit more dynamic with the students, is far greater, right?
Yeah, I mean, and then the book is like the succinct things that I see the same kind of mistakes over and over again in like code reviews, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the book is about. It's like, if you just apply these, 45 like actionable principles in your project, then you will have better code. And,
Right.
a lot of that's tooling and stuff like that too. And the class, yeah, I mean, there's overlap there, of course, but then we can talk like specific examples, and people, sometimes I have students where I'm saying, well, you should prefer standard algorithm in this case or whatever. And they're like, well, but I hate Lambda syntax and whatever. So I take the opportunity to flip it around on them and be like, well, if you've got if you name the Lambda outside of the algorithm call, now your algorithm call reads like a sentence. And, and I can like change people's opinions once I hear what their specific complaints and concerns are,
Right. And so the class is good for those that have your book that want to get more clarification and
absolutely,
and understanding as well.
I did a class in the Netherlands 1 year ago. When was that? Oh, that was July of last year. It was after C++ on C last year, actually.
Okay.
And that class had made a point of going through my best practices book together. And I'm not going to give any spoilers here, right? But in the first day of the class, one of the people in the class is like, hey, we didn't really understand your guidance in this particular topic. Like, why'd you say this here? And I'm like, no, you're not thinking about it right. And I gave them a little bit more clarification. And the next day, that student comes back for the next day of the class, and he says, like, I took what you said and I applied it in this chunk of code, and it's now half as long, and I found 3 bugs in the process. And I'm like, there, see, like, that's the point,
Yep.
So yeah, just the opportunity, particularly, yeah, if you have read the book, to come in and be like, you know what, I want to argue with you on this point. Great, let's do that. Let's sort this out.
And that kind of fits with the way I always like your talks, because you don't sit in one of your talks without being called on in the audience. And it doesn't matter if the audience is, a couple hundred people.
I set myself up for that. The first real full-length talk I gave was a talk called Thinking Portable at C++ Now in 2015. I think it was 15. And I didn't really intend for it to be a very interactive talk, but it's C++ Now. And so it was an interactive
Right.
talk. And people asked me questions, and I'm like, I don't know the answer to that. Just for the record, if you've never spoken at a conference before and you're thinking about it, being willing to say you don't know the answer, say you don't know the answer, right?
Right.
And then take it to the next step and say, I don't know the answer. Is there anyone in the room who does?
Yeah.
And then you get like insto interaction with your room that you would never get otherwise.
Right.
So that coincidentally happened at C++ Now. And it was it was good. There was a lot of people in the room. They answered things that I didn't know the answer to. And then when I went to do my CppCon plenary session that I did on the Commodore 64, which some of the viewers watching this have probably seen, I was like, I have to figure out how to make it interactive, even though there's going to be like 1,000 people in the room.
Yeah.
And now I'm just on that trajectory. I have to make everything as interactive as I can. I take into account the audience and the location where I'll be speaking and stuff as well. But anyhow, yeah.
It's funny because one of the first, I have not given near the amount of talks you have, but one of the first talks I'd given, I did not focus as much on the interaction. And then this last year for the talks that I gave, it's definitely a different feeling when you know that you have the audience's attention. It's not one of those ones where you think of the old lecture hall and someone's just drilling information down. You actually are, getting people and there's feedback going and you're discussing things. And so that being said, your class is going to be excellent, and as your talks are as well. So,
do we have time? Because I have one random other aside that I would like to mention.
Absolutely, of course.
So my nephew was just graduating from high school this past year, and he had to give a presentation to several of his instructors as part of his graduation requirements. And I'm like, dude, ask the instructors a question at the beginning of your presentation, because then they'll like wake up and respond to you and you get the interaction. And he's like, wait a minute. Are you telling me that I can get them to do part of my presentation for me? And I'm like, yes. And they were like, oh yeah, one of the best presentations we had this year. Just ask the audience some questions.
You're going to give away your secrets, Chief.
You know what? It's fine.
So aside from the class, you were talking about doing some open content this year too, right? You want to talk about that?
Right, sure. So I am not giving any regular content sessions. Let's just go ahead and get that out there. But I am hoping, I haven't submitted them yet for clarity, so hopefully they get accepted by the powers that be here. But I'm hoping at least on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to do a lunch like C++ conversations thing. Each day we'll have a different topic. It'll be a little bit of kind of a preview into how like my training works, but at the same time, it'll just be fun and a big room conversation I'm hoping for. I'm hoping to do that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at the moment.
Right on.
Maybe Friday if I'm feeling particularly full of energy, but
nice.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's my goal at the moment.
Cool. And so then just to let everybody know too, so Jason is probably going to be signing books, and we're going to have Jason's books at the bookstore or at the CPP Cache this year. So, once you come to the conference, come on by, check out the CPP Cache, grab a book, get Jason to sign it, hang out at lunch, but more importantly, improve your best practices. Sign up for the best practices class that Jason's going to run post-conference.
And if you do want your book signed and you come up to me, give me a minute, because I am still not practiced at this. So it always feels awkward to me.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine that, but I know how hard it is writing a book too, because that's why I haven't done it yet. So you deserve to be able to do the signing.
I do recommend self-publishing as a start.
Yes, that's probably a good way to go. Jason, I appreciate your time this morning. I look forward to seeing you at the conference here in a few weeks.
Absolutely. See you in a few weeks.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks.